Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite short films. It's weird that I'm doing this video now because I'm actually in the middle of filming my next short film, which I would like to keep as a secret, not only as the title, but also what goes on and why am I making this short film. I would like to keep it a secret and not tell anyone until after the short film is released. I just gotta talk about this new Parannoul album, man. I just gotta take some time out and gotta talk about it. It just got released about 5 days ago, and I just gotta talk about it. This is huge. So Parannoul is a South Korean shoegaze noise rock, maybe a bit of noise pop as well, singer, songwriter. Back in the year 2021, he released his sophomore album To See the Next Part of the Dream, and that was the moment he sort of blew up on Rate Your Music, the website. And proudly enough, I have to say this in every Parannoul video I'll ever make, I am the first person on YouTube to review this album. I am the first person on YouTube to review To See the Next Part of the Dream. And this review became one of my most popular, and I believe still my most popular album review of all times. And I'm proud to say that because I feel like Death Grips to Fantano is Parannoul to me. I was there in the beginning, or near the beginning. And To See the Next Part of the Dream is an absolutely crushingly depressing album about self-loathing, not having any meaning in life, feeling loss, loneliness. It is heavily inspired by animes like Welcome to the NHK, Serial Experiments Lain. It's also heavily inspired by All About Lily Shoo Shoo. Following that in 2022, I believe, or was it 2023? I believe it was actually last year, he released the album After Magic, and it was early in January last year, and that is when people are more caught up with Parannoul's music. Fantano reviewed it a day before I reviewed it, so he got the head start. But After the Magic is an even better version of Parannoul album, because we see Parannoul get better. Instead of being depressed, he actually learns to be happy. It's like between To See the Next Part of the Dream and After the Magic, it's like he went to a therapist or something, maybe. It's like he got over depression. And some netizens even theorized that Parannoul found someone that could be his other half, and maybe a fellow shoegaze songwriter, who knows. But regardless of the reason, After the Magic is him getting out of depression, him learning to live and be happy and appreciate the beautiful things about living. And that was obviously very beautiful. I also love how wintry the album sounds. It's very wintry, cozy, snowy, like the album cover suggests. And as expected, now we enter Sky 100. Also, I forgot to mention some amazing collaborations with Parannoul, Sonhos Tomam Conta from Brazil, and Asian Glow have collaborated with Downfall of the Neon Youth back in 2021, which blew my mind. I love this album. Also, his collaboration with Asian Glow, which came out in 2022, the Paraglow EP, is one of my favorite EPs of the decade so far, honestly. But anyways, now we have Sky 100. I didn't expect him to release another album this fast. And similar to After the Magic, we have extreme bliss, happiness, elation. But given that this album is released in August, and given the more golden yellowish album cover here, this album naturally had a more summery sound than the wintry sound of After the Magic. It is very heated, warm, and lush, and it's a slightly different direction from After the Magic, but it's still within the same ballpark. Now, further research made me understand the intentions of making this album more. So on the Bandcamp page for this album, he wrote a couple paragraphs explaining the intentions behind this album. Time passes no matter you're wandering or not. The people who seem to always be here together are leaving, and the feelings I felt when I made my 2021 album began to disappear. So, as expected, the depression from 2021 is dissipating. The more I hid it, the more I became exposed. I came out, but the pressure I made myself was abandoning me. I didn't want to see myself getting ugly in each memory, and I finally understood the real fear of nostalgia based on absence. The sky is watching hundreds of me, and no one has answered in front of me what makes the difference between them and me. What will happen to those who are left behind? If the end of magic is something that everyone experiences, is there any meaning in failing? 100 skies have shone brighter than me, and I think I've grown too preciously to accept the truth and disappearance. I dedicate this album to those who still listen to my songs, to my family, to those who have left, and to hundreds of me. So, from my understanding of this write-up here, this album is about overcoming pain, overcoming sadness, and become happy. But it's not that simple. It's becoming happy and then looking back at your depression and sadness and feel a sense of nostalgia to it. Not necessarily a loving nostalgia, like, oh, I want to go back, but a sense of nostalgia, like, who was I back then? Why was I like that back then? What made me move on? And why do I feel empty after moving on? And so this album feels like being reborn after going through something sad, something traumatic. There's nostalgia, but also there's acceptance, accepting that the past is the past, accepting that it's gone, that sadness, that pain, and it's great that it's gone, but it's also your older self, and maybe to some aspects the other side of yourself that is as true and as genuine as your newer self. But you need to know and you need to understand that that self is gone. It's not here anymore, and you need to move on and look what's ahead of you. So every track on this album is great. Every track sounds great. There is not a single dud on the track list. And also the album, every track is kind of similar sounding, but at the same time, every track has just enough to distinguish itself from the rest of the track list, whether it be changing chords, faster or slower rhythms, or insanely catchy hooks. If one thing, Parannoul definitely has mastered the catchy songwriting, because there's so many very catchy hooks on this album. The album starts off with A Lot Can Happen, and as expected, the opener is pure bliss with crushed, compressed drums and guitars, hopeful pianos. I feel like I'm in a roller coaster ride of a film and I finally reached the happy ending. But instead of a happy ending, this is actually the opening of the album. The vocals sound as alive as ever, and the track sort of builds into chunky hand drums, pianos that sort of turn bittersweet and turn sweet and then explodes for a beautiful climax. It's also extremely important to talk about the lyrics when you deal with a Parannoul album. Sometimes the feeling ties up faster than words. Want to hold on, but still have regrets finding the place you left. Even after everything, I want to believe the feeling lasts forever. Hope nothing happens tomorrow and the day after. See you soon. And, yeah, this is very much about conflicting feelings of, again, your past, regrets, wanting to undo mistakes you've made in the past. But now you're in the now you're in the present day, and you have to move on, and you just have to hope that nothing happens in the future, even though it will. And that's the faith, that's the hope. And I don't know, again, I'm back to this state where I listen to Parannoul's music and I just find his music devastatingly relatable. Back in 2021, when I listened to See the Next Part of the Dream, while I wasn't exactly going through what he was going through in the album, but I still relate to the album a lot, because back in 2018 and 2019, I had a little self-esteem, I had a little self-respect. I didn't have any friends at some point, and I really hated myself, and I really struggled for a period of time in my adolescence. I really really struggled, so I sort of understood that loneliness and that anger. And then, of course, now it's 2024 and I've grown as a human being. I've made friends, I've learned to be happy, I've learned to be healthy, especially with what happened to me last year. I learned to be both mentally and physically healthy. And now listening to the album, it's like I grew up, you know? He grew up and I grew up, and oh my god. Anyways, we have the lead up single Gold River, which has its intro with its thunderous pianos alternating with guitars, and it's crushingly noisy. We have some driving rhythms and nostalgic vocal melodies. The verses are so catchy and they're immensely beautiful and memorable. We have moments of quiet acoustic guitars as well. It's just insanely catchy. But also the lyrics, recalling the feeling of the sunrise left in the eyes, your echo of wishing happiness, they wanted the need to move themselves, someday will realize your meaning, which is again recalling a beautiful imagery, something you remember, something distant, something hazy, something locked up in your past, but something beautiful and small, and it's gorgeous. Moving on, we have the track Maybe Somewhere, which is another crushingly powerful track about understanding why you were in pain and why you have to move on and become anew. The noisy parts of the track feel like acceptance of the new, while the quieter moments where we have keyboards and drum machines and muffled vocals feel like glimpses of the past, bits of memory. I feel like I'm reliving camcorder footage when I'm listening to the quieter parts on this track. And again, we have the chorus, maybe somewhere will the day ever come when I will be saved again. Maybe somewhere where my past feelings won't fade away. Following that, we have the track Painless, which is also one of the lead-up single to the album. It is a more rock-oriented song. The chords go flat and sharp and they change tones like a My Bloody Valentine song. This is amazing meat and potatoes. Shoegaze. And on this track, he sort of discusses how pain correlates with happiness. You can't experience true happiness unless you've gone through some sort of pain. And again, while I'm not going to pretend like I was abused or anything like that, and I've known people who have gone through terrible things. But we all, I feel like, me and my adolescent friends who have faded away 3 years ago because I moved on to America and, you know, distant people, we've all collectively gone through some shit, and we all learned to move on from that ourselves. It's magical. It's human nature. But also it's like, true happiness doesn't come out of nowhere. You need to experience something. You need to go down before you go up. And also the lines that really hit hard for me. Wake me up from anesthesia so that I can't forget you anymore. Learning to remember, learning to take those painful memories and embrace it and stick it back to you. You know, the same way I still keep my diaries. I'm not throwing them away. My diaries from the past, it's still here with me. Then we have the track Lights Off Repentance, which is a super fast-paced, straightforward rock rager here. The guitars have sliding pitches, we have quirky angular keyboards and explosions of creativity. This track is an explosion of a track, and definitely a track that leads up to a monster, and that monster being Evoke Me, which is a 14-minute long multifaceted monster that starts off extremely noisy, but then it sort of goes up and down like a roller coaster. We have quieter sections where we have nothing but drums, nothing but pianos. The second half gets even spacier, a little bit dizzying, a little bit atmospheric, but everything sort of ends off with one final epic climax. And reading into the lyrics of this track, I feel like not only is he dealing with overcoming the past, but also it's dealing with someone he's lost. Maybe another artist, maybe another singer-songwriter who might have gone, might have passed away, or maybe that singer-songwriter is himself. Maybe he himself is passed away, and when he was singing about you. The you refers to his older self. But again, there are several verses on this track that just hit me like a truck. We have the chorus, saw the sky, it rained hundreds of eyes, they're killing me. But also the line, want to tell people that you existed. Want to sing that you existed. Hundreds of me, hundreds of you will last forever. Evoke me. Meaning that his memories will live on forever, but also that's pain, that's trauma. But it's still there, it exists. And again, that's the thing with nostalgia. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to explain that I'm making a short film now. Because if there's one thing I can say about my short film that I'm filming now, is that it is about nostalgia. It is about making something that will soon be gone last forever. And sort of grasping the present day, the present moment, and capturing it with a camera so that it won't fade away forever. And also feelings and just wow. Like yeah, this is really hard hitting. Anyways, after an interlude, we have the track Backwards, which is a slightly slower song, but equally moving and powerful. You'd think the song after the 14-minute monster would be underwhelming, but no. This feels like a warm hug after having the ugliest cry of your life. It's about accepting loss. It's about nothing lasting forever. With its watery guitar embellishments, it's beautiful. Especially the lyrics. People I can talk to disperse one by one. When I meet them, there awaits bad news. I am still young and fragile. I cannot stand everything the way it is. There's still pain. It's not like all the pain just disappeared and went away. But you're still young and fragile. I'm still young and fragile. We're all still young and fragile. Especially being an artist, I guess. I really tap into negative emotions. Fuck. The album ends off with Fantasy, which is one final explosion on the album. It's the big finale where we finally have reached enlightenment, and it is about self-love, it is about rebirth, and it's about thanking someone who helped him stand back up from those dark times. And it's a beautiful way to end off the album. And yeah, this is honestly one of the most powerful listens of the year. And yeah, this is it's honestly amazing to start listening to Parannoul's music back in 2021 and seeing him grow, not only musically but as a person. I'm giving the new Parannoul album a strong 9 out of 10. So I haven't listened to the new Parannoul album. Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.